Hey folks, I am back with another video on my DIY Halloween project, creating how I created this version of the Reaper from Blade 2. These vampires contracted a virus and made them into the monster that you saw in the beginning of the video. I've always found this character design to be really interesting, and I wanted one for my home haunt. I actually keep him in my basement during the entire year. So this is a step-by-step on how I put him together. You can see I've covered a head form in some plastic and the masking tape, and then that with a layer of Loctite foam. I spray that with water, and that allows, or rather it encourages a skin to start to form on the foam, and within 3 minutes you can start to move that around down onto the head form. I made some eyes out of clay off camera that I have another video on how to make those eyes. They're just clay covered in a layer of resin, and then I attached them here, trying to figure out the best eye placement. Before I went any further with adding detail, I wanted to slit the head up the back and remove it so that I didn't damage any of the detailed clay that I'm about to put on in the next couple of steps. So you can just slice that right down the back, and it comes off with relative ease. Later on, I'll fill this head with some foam. Not fill it, but at least the neck piece that holds a piece of 3/4 inch PVC in place so that we can attach this head to the body. The Loctite foam is excellent. It's tough. It's pretty flexible. You can even reheat it and it becomes even more flexible. In this case, I didn't really need to do that. I did break out some, this is cellulose clay. I think I purchased it from Joann Fabrics. I started adding in the cheekbones, the ears, the brow ridge. It's a rough clay, but it becomes very, very tough. It's just plaster and paper mixed together. You can actually make your own with various recipes on the internet. And this is paper clay, so it's a sort of a similar idea, but it's smoother and it does not dry quite as tough, not quite as strong. So I use this to create the details in the face. Ultimately, if you wanted to sand this and put a second layer over top of the skin, you can really come out with a smooth, perfect looking skin. Pablo wanted to say hi, and then we needed to remove the chin in order to make the mouth cavity. This particular type of vampire, you saw the neck area splits open to reveal a bunch of really interesting looking vampire teeth. So I wanted to create that flap. I used some a Coke box to create the skin, taped it in place, and then used some Loctite foam in order to reinforce that and also to marry it to the head. It became rigid and a lot stronger once we had completed the same sort of process that we used on the head. Teeth time. I ordered these from Amazon, and they're resin teeth. And this is a proboscis that the vampires have. It's made from a piece of pipe insulation. I just cut that and sort of sculpted the little ends to look just like they do in the film. You can see it's sort of porous, which actually kind of looks like a tongue, but it really was amplified once I covered the entire thing in a layer of latex. This is mask-making latex, and I also used it on the inside of the box. I used a little bit of cotton and some paper towel to create some different shapes inside the mouth to give it a little bit more visual interest. These teeth, again, the larger ones are made from some polymer clay. I just baked that in the oven, and the teeth I ordered, those are the ones from Amazon that we discussed before. I started hot gluing the little pointy teeth onto the proboscis, and he was starting to look at this point like the actual creature. Once the tongue was inserted, we were able to go back and start preparing it to be attached to the body. Blade 2 came out in 2002, and it's a testament that I'm still thinking about this movie. But we were ready to start painting. I read somewhere that if I painted it red initially and then came back over it with flesh color, it looks more realistic. I added some blue veining here, just like the creature had in the film. And the head was just about finished at this point. This is when I start to get excited about the project. In fact, that's often what I do, is I make the head first because it sort of carries me through the rest of the body, making the rest of the body, which is sometimes not quite as much fun. So here is the chest form. You can see I'm skipping around a little bit. I needed to put that neck piece that we talked about earlier. It's 3/4 inch PVC. and then it went down into the chest here, and I built a cross piece with some additional pieces of pipe and foamed them in place, and that held the neck in there rather well. I did use some Loctite foam to marry the neck and head together, and then used some masking tape to start creating ribs and musculature. It's the same process. You just simply make your shape and then reinforce it using the foam. One of my boys had to say hi. And these ribs, there's only a few. It's just to indicate that the ribs would be there. You can't actually see much of this once you cover him with the foam, not nearly as much. That is one thing I will remind you, that whatever shape you make as a form, once you've covered that in the foam, it's going to be a good bit larger once that foam has cured. And you'll want to babysit the foam. If you allow it to just do its thing, it will continue to puff up, so you'll have to keep working at it. Another tip I would say is wear gloves, neoprene or latex, whatever you have available. Some folks I have talked to, they said that they developed potentially an allergy, and I'm sure it's not great to be touching this all the time with your skin. So I created these hands out of some cardboard, and he skipped some leg days there. I ran those 2 pipes you saw earlier all the way to the floor and started bulking out his legs and his rear end with some bags. They were just plastic shopping bags. You can sand the foam. I did take that I took some steps to try to do that, but found that it wasn't really that necessary, and started using a little bit of that mask-making latex to smooth out the skin. I covered those PVC legs in some pool noodle, and then I used a heat gun to bend the knees a little bit to give it a little bit more of a natural pose. And then I started that same painting process over again with the red and the skin colors to make him look a little bit more like he did in the movie. These nails are just polymer clay again, hot glued in place. I found some pants for him at the Goodwill, and as well as a belt that I used for some bracelets, and he was done. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. I hope this video was helpful for you. I wanted to show you some techniques that you can maybe apply to your own projects and various monster making. I hope you had a great Halloween 2023, and as always, happy haunting.